Hello and welcome to what is session 2, right? What would actually be session 3 if we were counting the first session, but we did a session 0. So we were in session 2 of Shattered City, which is built on the Legacy Life Among the Ruins engine. It's a standalone game. We'll talk more about the implications of that in a moment. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this session is part of the Gauntlet Calendar. That's an online gaming club that we have. It has a Patreon that supports it. And we also have just kind of open sign up for people can come in and sign up for events. We have wait lists on things, so maybe you come and check that out, gauntlet-rpg.com. All of our games use safety tools. I'm not going to go over them because we've gone over them the last couple of sessions, but know that you may hear us talk about our lines and veils and our X card. That's what we are referring to. So last time we let the players do a couple of the house moves. These are moves to establish the kind of actions and things that were going on at the bigger level. What we're going to do today is we're going to move ourselves down to the character level. We're taking it kind of slow, and we're going to try and get a sense of how everyone pictures their guild. One of the things about this game is that it provides a kind of a framework. It has some background that really does lay out some of the concepts for us that we have to kind of stick to, but then there's a lot of wiggle room within that. Like, I know that Tyler has his undead, not so lich sorcerer people, but what exactly that means, we don't know. What that looks like, boots on the ground and so on. So we're going to examine that today. So with that, to get us kind of angled towards it, what I want to do is I want to have everybody reintroduce who their character is that were chosen, that are focusing for our house. And maybe if you can remember what the sense is of what your connections are to the other PCs, we're going to get that established. And then we're going to kind of work through choosing a flashpoint and figuring out what kind of story and crisis we want to lean into. Tyler, why don't you tell us about your Lord Taliesin? Taliesin? Taliesin.
Lord Taliesin, yes. He is a member of the, I believe it's the Crystal Crown is the official playbook, but the name I've come up for them is the Endless Primarchy. And they are the former nobles of the city before the Empire and the Kingdom came in. Taliesin is a storyteller, is the playbook he has. He is human, or as human as the Primarchy can be.
Right.
He is a male. He sort of speaks in a stage whisper, is what the description I think is. But he has these kind of playful, happy eyes and this perpetual smile that might border on creepy.
Might?
As mentioned, as mentioned, they're kind of the Primarchy are ancient and have been around forever, and so has Taliesin. And if by chance we are taken to where we would die, we instead slide into a deathless torpor where we cannot be hurt any longer, and there's ways to get us out of it. But to do so, we have to follow certain tenets of our people, and ours, one that I have at the moment, is that we consume the tears of other people to sustain ourselves. Oops, stupid phone. Sorry. So as long as I do that, then I can't exactly die. As a storyteller, I have some fairly interesting, cool things where I can tell stories of marvels and mystery to find out, to state facts. I can relate rumors and half-truths of things to about creatures or phenomenon. And I also heal people when I tell my stories, which is nice. I'm a leader of my house. When you tell your house the story of a fabled treasure, whatever you say will grow and spin out of proportion. Say who looks to you to advise their pursuit of it. I have a relationship, a connection with Olgrid, who is Chris's character, which is based on dreams and pride. And I believe it has to do with assisting her in finding her relic, but I'll let Chris expand on that a bit more. And I have a covenant with Reline, who is Patrick's character, based on music and change, and we composed together. It was not completely decided. I sort of like the idea of maybe it being an opera, but I can let Patrick expand on that as well. But that is the Lord Taliesin.
Excellent, excellent. And then Patrick, tell us about Reline.
So I'm playing Reline, presented by Velos Productions. She is the singer playbook, part of the Tower of Velos, spreading obsession and fandom, and we don't use words like drugs and addiction. That's all just terrible ways to think about it. But she is the unquestioned star of Velos. She travels in a sort of rolling event, a large caravan of vices and nonstop revelry. When she gets up on stage, she can release crystal magic, quorum magic through her voice. She can change people, enrapture them, uplift them, all sorts of things. I think that's one of the neatest things about her that I really want to get to is where she can craft covenants with songs and let other people make covenants with those songs, and then those songs start to spread, and or the inspiration to make music can also start to spread. It's a really weird sort of move set. My connections, the others, like Tyler said, we worked together to write a song about the old ways of Montera and how much we've changed over the centuries. And lovely Annan, who's not here tonight, we have a long distance relationship, a bit asymmetrical on the emotional side going on. But so far we've both proven useful to each other, so at least there's that. You are muted.
That was me cursing. So, okay, that gives a good sense. Chris, tell us about Olgrid.
Okay, Olgrid is a short, heavy-set, kind of grumpy woman. Is a vagabond of the Untamed Clans faction. And what that means is basically she is a wandering problem solver, and doesn't tend to stay in any particular place long. She fulfills the agent role for the Untamed Clans, so she basically is the person that problems and fix things that need fixing. And in her case, if someone decides that Olgrid needs to fix it, it probably needs the application of focused and probably relatively unfettered violence. That seems to be the way she's built. And she is paired with her two companions, which are basically giant wolves. The one she rides, which is a very large greater Ulfin, which is big, strong, tough, and smart. And that one is named Rucka. And the smaller companion wolf is named Isker, and Isker is drilled and vicious. So basically, the smaller one is the meaner one. Is the way this works out. And the Untamed Clans are a group that basically occupies the outskirts of the city. Is usually where the city turns to for like your basic like things that you have to live, like food, animal products, that sort of thing. And they're mostly made up of nomadic farmers and ranchers that basically have various settlements outside the city that they move between. And that is Olgrid and the Untamed Clans in a short box.
So let's consider the kinds of threats, problems that we've already established for the city. Let me kind of go over some that occur to me, things that are out there as issues, and then let's talk as a group about what we want to focus in on. We've got the issue of the soldiers transformed, returning from the war, and their kind of isolation away because they've been changed. But on the flip side of that, we have it that the Soldiers Guild are going and recruiting and kind of not necessarily press ganging. We don't know how that's what that looks like, but they are definitely drawing from people here in a kind of aggressive way. We've saw last time that 2 flashpoints occurred. One is the sort of awakening and revival of these mushroom people, a cabal we hadn't seen before. But we also saw some activity from those wraiths that dwell there with the mist wraiths. Like there were situations happening there. We saw a little bit of the 6th Guild, not so much a threat, but we do know that there is a threatening figure that lives in the Living College. We know that that's where the 6th Guild is at. We don't know what the connection is. We know that they've got something going on with them, some kind of curse or something. And then we also have the issue of the water supply and the problems with that. That's causing not just that the water in the river remains contaminated, but that the area there at the life stream is kind of going in and out from time to time. And also that within the city, we're also seeing water bubbling up in places and getting more that taint and disruption throughout the city. So let me start, just in the interest of doing a focus question here. Let me start with you, Tyler. Do you have some thoughts about maybe what you would like to see us start with our focus? It doesn't have to be what we're going to do exclusively, but where would you think we'd like to start?
I'll say I'm even though it is something I'm really sort of centered on, but I feel like having our water supply fixed is pretty important.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a spot I think is interesting to look at. I am also kind of interested in that fungal war thing from the fungal farms.
Fungal war. Okay, we've got those written down. Patrick, what are you like? What are you drawn to? What interests you right now?
And we're looking at something to tackle all 3 of us together, ideally.
Ideally, it's something that we can that if we focus in on it on this first kind of round, and we'll start with one person, that you could think of a way that you might hook yourself into it. We might go through a couple of different of these flashpoints, but at least to start, something that you think you could engage with.
So definitely on like a personal and a house level, I want to work towards something with the 6th Guild and the library and that weird crystal stuff. I think that's probably like research and then setting up towards some sort of concert there.
Mm-hmm.
But something that would be broader. I like both of those that you said, Tyler. I think we have a closer connection in on that it was live stream, and what was the second?
Mm-hmm. The water. So
No, what was the second one after the live
Oh,
stream?
the fungal war.
We have a connection in already with the fungal people, so I think from a character perspective, I'd be more interested in that, but either one of them's good.
And Chris, what about you?
I kind of like the fungus war idea, the fungal people war, but the water supply is also kind of important, and I think it has been we had teased it around with lots of different. It's showing up in lots of different, trouble zones, and it basically seems to hit like every faction in the city. So
let's start with the fungal war. With the water supply issue being backgrounded, like that's the other thing that's kind of in the background. And let's play around with that so we can get a chance to explore our characters here a little bit and get a sense of where they are. Now, let's come to you, Olgrid. What is the reaction, or what is your reaction since those fungal people murdered the crone and killed off a major leader of the faction? What's your reaction to that? And we know that you've gained some recruits that the younger people are signing up, but where do you fall on this right now?
I think the clans have Olgrid basically moving from settlement to settlement, basically collecting the recruits and getting them to a central hub for training. And because we're nomads, that's trickier than it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like as her personal project, she's been basically traveling and sniping the various parties of fungal people that have been moving between all the various locations now. So I think before, for whatever reason, they were dormant in that cave system, and now they've started to come up and move around. My thoughts, and everybody else can feel free to like add or change this, but my thought is that they would be more prone to moving around like at night.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would be their most active time, and so that sort of adds to their scare factor too, which I kind of like. We already established that they look like all the scary looking fungus, like witch's fingers and all that sort of really freaky looking stuff. And having them basically move around at night, I think, adds to them as this sort of Borderlands, dead of the night sort of threat. And I kind of like that.
What I think we're going to do here in this first run around, we're going to do like a scene with each of you individually, and then we'll kind of come around and like start to cross paths, because you are traveling there, and the fungal people, the Montongo, have been moving out. They clearly are able to travel through some underground caverns and things like that, and you find yourself in one of the areas that lies more towards the center of the city, somewhere between the House of Coin and Solemnity. Like you're crossing the real urban lands to reach over to those lands. And as you are moving through with your mounts, you will be kind of stop short because you'll see a couple of people on riding beasts. What kind of riding beasts? What do we see here? Are they insects? Are they horses? Are they lizards? Are they something else? What do you think we see?
I think the standard riding beast for the city dwellers, if they're from the city,
Mm-hmm.
Would be. I like the idea of this sort of like almost like a Clydesdale sized, like looks like a hybrid of a lizard and a horse.
Okay. Yeah.
Like with the basically scaly skin, but still like the same basic horse shape.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a loping long distance, beast that can also like move heavy loads if need be. But it's built for long distances and long days, I think.
And one of the riders will call out to you and will say, "Helen, well met. You're Olgrid, are you not?"
I am.
"My master is nearby and would have words with you. A conversation, no obligation. I know, we know, he knows that you are busy and in the midst of conflict. Would you speak with him?"
Olgerd looks over at the two wolves, who just basically wolf shrug, and looks back and says, "I will speak with him."
And you will come forward, and you will see there is a cart, decently appointed, and the driver of it will knock at the window, and a gentleman will, sort of like a spider stepping out of a hole, his legs come out first. He's very tall. He's mid 6 foot. He's human, though one of the humans with a more bluish tint to his skin, and robes on, and sort of wine dark eyes, long hair, and he says, "Olgrid, I apologize for cutting you off here in the middle of your journey. As I understand it, you are in the midst of rallying your peoples against a foe."
I am on my appointed task. If you know of it, then I'm presuming you are prepared to provide me with the reason for your interruption.
Exactly. I think our goals and paths intertwine in this matter. My name is Thorlost, Dark of Fire. And I wish to hire you to kill one of the knights of the Montongo, one of their leaders. I will provide you with information on how to egress their holdings and make your way in. I will give you secrets and words to cloak yourself from their guards. And if you will go and kill this one, it will do much to push your cause forward. And I merely need something from his body.
What do you need from his body, and for what purpose?
I need his heart. The Montongo are old things, and I know from my librams and lores that they're a powerful conduit, this one in particular, and it will aid me in my work with relics. I'm being open and honest with you in this. It's a thing I wish for power, but I will reward you and your people greatly.
Power over who or what do you seek? If this is simply a path to attempt for you to assert power over my people, then
Oh, no.
that
I
is
mean,
an entirely
power in
separate
the,
thing.
you misunderstand me, power in the abstract sense. I have a talent with magic. I have studied the qualm, and I wish to become more attuned. That is my thing, like so many others. And this is a means, and I have an opportunity, and I think our desires can link up.
You have the comb madness. Very good.
Very good.
I believe we can work together
Absolutely.
for this purpose.
And he says, I can give you coin, which you can use. As you know, it is not as valuable to you, but it is valuable to others and will be a good trade for you if I hand this off to you, if you accomplish this task. And he names a figure that essentially is surplus coin for your family.
And Olgrid, although she is no economist by any means, probably hears that figure and has had to purchase enough things in the city to go, that is a lot of money.
Absolutely. Are you interested?
Yeah, I think so.
Then I think we have a bargain. And a figure emerges from the cart, a servitor who hands him a scroll case that's done in sort of reddish bone. He'll hand that to you. Here is the information that you'll need to accomplish your task. When you are done, you will bring the heart to me where I reside in my holdings at the Living College.
Very
Is
well.
that amenable?
I believe that is amenable.
Good. Then the bargain it is struck. And he will say, I hope to hear from you soon. And he will fold himself back into the cart.
Okay, does he go back in backwards just like a spider backing into the hole? Please say he does.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Let's come to Relene. Relene, what has been your connection with this war with the Montongo? I think you had like some crossroads on that last time, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, we were in the midst of running from the Living College and the Guild, the Sixth Guild, and we caused harm to them along the way. We didn't really talk about it specifically, but I think it was it was my large-muscled, well-oiled bodyguard leading the strike team in there to get some crystals, and I think he was hyped up from the attack on the college and just overreacted to running across a group of them. So they ended up with influence over us.
Yes, they don't. You're not in conflict, but they do have influence over you. But you do know that the Untamed Clan is going to war. You do know that they have these crystals down there. So what is it that you're doing, Relene?
I think she feels bad about how that went. The whole point of going to see the crystals was to investigate and learn and maybe find something new, and it turned into this whole conflict, and then the conflict spilled over.
Mm-hmm.
I think she'd be looking for ways to find out about them, to contact them, to get influence with them, that sort of thing.
So we've got a couple ways that you could do this. We could do this with Explore, where you travel trying to learn things about them. Or alternately, we've also got a encounter move where you try to search through a community for a useful ally. So those seem like the two at the that sort of hero level.
Yeah, let's try Explore. Go back and try and retrace the area where they ran across them, where that attack happened. See if we can find some sign of where they went to, or where a settlement of them or something might be.
Absolutely. Let's have you roll prowess.
That's great.
I'm sure your prowess is quite
Rude.
rude.
that, do that. No, not so. Do that. There we go. Wow, that's 10.
That is a 10. So number one, you gain a lore. And
sacred rare lore.
I know. On a 10 plus, you arrive without incident, or pick one from the list above and pick one from the list below on explore into the hero move. So there's some, you can, if you want, essentially the journey will just give you that lore. But if you also want to maybe suffer a setback, you can get something additional.
Oh, interesting.
And then there's another thing I'll say about the lore once you made that choice.
Discover a surplus along there. Form or increase your covenant with a fellow traveler.
So I don't think you have anybody with you right now.
Okay.
But you can discover a surplus.
Yeah, though it may be hard to return into your house. Let's lose something along the way, suffer hurt or there. Yeah, let's discover a potential surplus along the route. And how about no, I want to make it a little bit blocked by an obstacle or threat on your way back. Okay.
And that may be how we cross paths here in a bit with other people. Now, one of the things is, I'll let you decide the surplus in a second, but one of the things you can do when you gain lore is essentially you can immediately convert that lore, spend it to declare a connection between the current situation and its existing factor. What I think I'm reading that as is you can like tell us something about the Montongo if you wanted, either what they're connected to or how something else relates to it or some dynamic of them if you wanted to spend that lore, or you can sit on the lore.
Oh, okay, reason. Gotcha.
Yeah. It's an interesting move, and it's probably should be over by the explore move just because they're connected.
Connection between the current situation and what the current situation be? The sort of like
the war with the Montongo, yeah.
Okay, cool.
You can connect them to something else on the map or some other factor.
No, I think I'll hold off on that. I don't have a great inspiration for that right now.
And what are your needs right now?
My needs are not on that tab. Spies, justice, safety, and medicine. Oh, that medicine's from the weird crystals.
Yeah, I think that what you will find as you're making your way down into the tunnels, you will find that these Montongo do move through these mushroom-infested tunnels, but that in some places there are groves as you get closer to their territory that you can immediately recognize based on your knowledge of the crystals that these things have medicinal properties that could be particularly efficacious to you if you could get some way to gather these and make them a resource you could draw on. This could be exactly what you need to counteract the poison that the crystal has put in your family.
And where is that? Have we determined where they're actually coming from?
I thought that they were like close to the fairgrounds is my impression there. That's what my memory is saying.
I think I had told him that they were over at the sea. They were underneath the tunnels at the sea.
Okay. Yeah. In a so we'll say the area between those two places. Not necessarily, honestly, because we've got the Untamed Haven there at this season. I don't necessarily want to put it right underneath their thing, but it certainly they stretch over that way. Imagine that sort of middle southern reach. And I think that after you discover this is when we do start to hear the sounds of the wet padding feet of the Montango guards. And it's the first time that we've seen that they have almost like enormous aphids that are like hunting beasts. They're the size of wolves. And they make a kind of a keening sound when they're calling out. So instead of wolf howls, we're hearing this keening sound echoing through these bemushroomed halls. And we'll come back to you, and we'll bring together another character with you in a moment. My lord, what is it that you are engaged in?
I think I'm going to go and try and speak with the Verdant, because I think they may have information on both the things I'm interested in, both this conflict and the lake. So I think we see back at the Redoubt. I have this imagining that when the Empire was here, since we know that they defeated the city by sorcerous means, I think that the Primarchy had to pretty much just hide in the Redoubt. I think that we weren't free to go about the city. People could kind of come to us, but that was the only way we survived the invasion. And now that the kingdom has come, they're a somewhat less dark magic-y sort, so we've been coming out and we've re-engaged. But I think we see me heading into the Redoubt in its tangled halls, up a stairway into a doorway, as I open it up, and it's this enormous, almost like it was a cave, huge room, perhaps mystically large for the tower. And my dear friend, it has been a very long time, but I have need of you. Will you carry me again? And I think we hear a sort of puffing, and out steps my enormous winged wyvern. And so I'm flying off to the swamps.
So you will arrive there. The swamps are hidden away. A portion is like in caverns, and a portion of it is above ground. The verdant tend to hold those places that are above ground, and so you will arrive at one of those groves, and you will see there is a Cryphon, one of the scaly sort of winged peoples that is in the dress of the verdant, and they clearly stand here in meditation waiting for guests, and will greet you and ask what it is you seek here amongst the verdant. Why have you come? It is not a time of meeting, and yet you have come. So we wish to know why.
There is much that is going on in the city. The waters have grown foul, and creatures, fungi creatures, have risen from the caverns. I seek the wisdom of the verdant.
That feels like
usual for me to have a 0 in cunning. All right, and I am rolling the dice, and I got a 6.
You got a 6. So I think that you can tell that something is up. Like there's something going on here behind the scenes. But the Verdant are not expert liars or dissemblers. So you pick up on that, but you're not sure exactly what is going on, or aren't able to pierce that. But you will speak with essentially your equivalent number there, a Verdant named Empty Lament. And Empty Lament will say, don't, certainly the issue with the waters is concerning to us, but we are more concerned with this war against the Montango. It is our feeling that the Untamed are in the wrong on this. And
See,
we fear what is going to happen in an open war. They are new people. We don't know much about them. And that's where you know they're lying. Like they clearly know something deeper. But they give you, let's think that these are new people, they're newfound, we don't know, but we don't want to disrupt the balance of nature.
is there some way that you could act as an intermediary where we can bring these conflicting parties together, find peace?
That seems to be more your role, my lord.
Yes, and I would put as much as I could into it, but the Verdant, your expertise, your knowledge, certainly of this new race, and your concern might lend some greater value with the Mondongo.
Well, if you get somewhere with the negotiations, then we will be glad to assist at that point. But of course, if we do, we would certainly want considerations in return from the Primarchy.
From the Primarchy? I would think that it would be the Untamed that would owe you such favors. I am not at war with the Mondongo.
But here you are, coming in asking for our favor.
True. I will keep this in mind.
Think on it well, my lord. We have here for you a gift.
Such generosity.
There was a death amongst our people recently, and we have gathered tears from the mourners for you.
I thank you. And the Primarchy thanks you.
Yes. Waste not, want not.
Indeed.
And he hands you, what do magically infused tears? Like they're not just going to look like pure water. So what do they look like?
I think they're, it's clear, but you know how kind of when you have oil that gets in water so that you get like swirls of color. I think it has that look to it, kind of an iridescence.
Because the water and the sorrow don't mix, so they keep separated and you shake it up. So you'll take off perhaps a little leery about exactly what they are up to there. What is you're the leader too. We should when we come back, we should figure out about that treasure and so on. Okay.
Alrighty.
Tell me, Olgrid, how is it that you come across Reline?
I think that Olgrid is following this path that was laid out to her, by the Mad Spider, is what she thinks of him as, And
It has a name.
but I think she's following this path that he had laid out as far as like how to find this particular individual amongst the fungus people, and she is tracking him through this area. He may or may not be here at this particular point.
Yeah. But this is one of the deep roads that leads to there, and you will hear those screeches, those wails, which now, having fought against the Montongo, you recognize. Do you, besides your wolves, do you have anyone with you, or is it just you think?
I think it's she directs the recruits and stuff. She always directs them to the hub where we're doing most of the training.
So it's just you then with your beasts. Relene, do you have anyone with you as you've made this journey? Like, I can't remember if your house has particular kinds of agents or anything.
Yeah, let's see what those are. So I definitely don't have like the full caravan with me. But
do you have your muscle-bound thug with you?
It's probably a terrible diplomatic idea, but yes.
I was just going to keep you safe. Oh yeah. Keep you safe, pretty lady. And but the second that we start hearing the screeches and stuff, he's like, we probably maybe ought to get running now, right?
No, this is what we're here for. We're here to make contact, to learn about them, to make friends with them.
All right. Can I have you resist danger?
What? There's no danger here amongst friends.
Well, but these aphid beasts, these aphid honey beasts, are not particularly full of reason.
Oh, look, it's more prowess.
Is it now?
Let's see. Well, that's half of what I rolled before. That's a 5.
That is a 5. So I think that you're running and noises and these things are coming up on you. And I think you turn to address your bodyguard and you realize that for the last little bit of the run, his body's been running, but you don't see his head. And as you kind of turn to say, maybe we'll break this way, the body finally takes those last stumbling steps and falls to the ground. And you realize that you are surrounded by these aphids with these biting teeth. But you'll look, and like a mirage, you will see Olgrid. What do you do, Relene?
So is it just these aphid beasts, or
you just seen the aphid beasts? Apparently, they've been sent out to clear the tunnels here.
I am going to start singing.
All right.
She pulls up her crystal mask, and her voice, I think, shaking but multi-layered and echoed still and quiet at first, starts to come out with something peaceful, soothing, like a lullaby that she doesn't remember who sang it to her.
Okay. Is this a fascinating performance?
Yes.
Roll cunning. That's got to be better than your prowess.
I mean, you'd think, it's way better than my prowess.
Yeah. I think that's your key stat.
Ooh, yes, that's an 11.
That is an 11. So on an 11, you get to pick 2 of those conditions.
Oh, actually, because I should have fleeting
Disadvantage.
disadvantage on
That's
this
right.
roll. Let me roll one more.
Thank you.
That's a 1, so that definitely is worse. So that's 6 plus 2 is 8.
Okay, so you get to choose one.
Um, 2 would have been great. I am going to hold all of their attention.
Okay. Olgrid, you've been kind of moving along, hearing this. You could tell that they were hunting something, and then you pop out and you see Reline and like a headless corpse near her, and she sees you, draws that mask, begins to play. Have you heard her play before?
I think Olgrid has, like, from the outskirts, and you know, in any other circumstance, I think Olgrid would stand and listen. But we have all these giant, like, insectoid monsters that are probably going to eat her if Olgrid doesn't deal with them.
Oh, yes,
So-
yes, please, feel free. I'll repeat the performance afterwards if you'd like to pay attention.
So if you'd like to assault, I think
I think
that
that's probably what I want to do.
I think Reline's holding them in place will give you advantage on this.
Ooh, that's always good. And I'm attacking with my companions, and they give me various tags. First off, I have armor from Iskar,
Okay.
and I also have brutal from Iskar.
Okay.
So, all right, and the weapon of the nomads is the bow, which is ranged and silent. So I think the first couple of shots we're going to see, like, her basically making those shots as the wolves are circling in. So, okay, so let's see how well this goes.
Okay. Roll plus might.
And I'm rolling 3 and keeping the best one, correct?
That is correct.
All right. Okay. Whoa, that is absolutely freaking terrible.
What?
That is a 6. If I add all the everything together, it's a 6.
Okay.
It basically will be a 2. It's two 2s, and then that would be that. So that becomes a 4. Those are my best 2 dice, and then 5.
So
So
this is a pack of beasts, and I think that your wolves will intercede and reduce the damage that you're going to take to 2 wound levels through rather than 3. But like more of them come swarming in, like the numbers overwhelm you, and you're kind of pushed over towards Reline. These are ones that are coming in and haven't quite heard the song. The ones by her are still held, but you two are kind of forced together. And you're hearing that sickening crunch of the wolves as they're biting into these aphid things. But there's just so many of them. Reline, your song is holding them in place, but it doesn't look like Olgrid has gained a foothold, and now the situation has gotten much worse.
Cool. So I think I'd like to try and manifest.
I thought you were going to say that. Oh, I'm so excited. So when you channel your will into a quorum shard, decide which focus tags you're drawing from your relic, your masteries, and each ally aiding your effort, and then you roll wisdom. Now let me ask this, Olgrid, if you see Reline begin to draw on her relic, would you also assist?
I'm not sure Olgrid would really know how to assist.
Okay, that's
like
fair.
unless
That's
unless
fair.
Relene is able to tell her like how to help. Because I figure this is a back to back. We're fighting our way out of here together, or we're becoming aphid chow together. So if Relene is able to tell me how to help, Ogre will do it. But her
What is your
instincts do not help her here.
Yeah. What is your tag, Relene?
So mine is lasting.
Ooh.
So I'd like to try and set up sort of a like send a couple of shards off of my dress and send them like circling around her to sort of fend off / try and get in the way of anything coming in. So she would definitely call out to you, Olgrid, come closer.
Then
Okay, and Ogre will do it again. Like she just doesn't have the instincts for this particular thing, so you're going to have to basically just tell her what you need from her.
So I think if we, they're still sort of dazed, I imagine a bit from the song, and I set up this sort of hypnotic swirling pattern. Then if you get in there, what is your relic? What do you use?
Mine is it's a cloak. It's a cloak of old bear skin.
And what's its tag? Is it potent? Swift,
it doesn't
precise,
have. It doesn't have.
wide?
It doesn't have. Oh, it's potent. So
Potent.
basically, she can use it to channel great physical force.
Oh, so
yeah,
that effect, it can grant
maybe
armor.
You have like a large chunk of qualm you can throw in. Relene can sort of tell you like, send it now, and try and distract people and point out when you should send in your hammer crunch.
Yeah. Usually she would use that to like lift a heavy thing and throw it, like that sort of thing. So like doing something that's more doing something like that would probably play to her strengths.
Let's have you roll wisdom, Relene.
Surely I have some of that. A little bit of that. Is it just the tag that it's not a regular aid?
Right. No, it just adds the tag.
Yeah. Okay. 7 + 1 is 8.
Okay. So I think that you're able to kind of keep your song up while you do this because of that lasting, and use Olgrids to smash and kind of like almost like use the armor type to carve a way through. Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
Like you can get out to an egress away from here, as we see that telekinetic energy that the two of you channel, like smashing back at these things. You're able to kind of hold them. The song that you're singing still continues somehow, but each of you needs to embody the ambience. And if you see under manifest, there are 3 choices. Each of you needs to pick one. What would you like to pick?
So I think we actually each need to pick 2, because each hero participating in the feat picks 1 backlash per tag used, 1 less on a 10+.
The way I read that actually was that because there's 2 heroes, you pick 2 tags. One oh, so yeah, actually, now that you say that, yeah, I guess it isn't per person, so I guess it is 2 tags.
And I think we get to pick between embodying or bleeding.
Get to pick between, oh yeah, that's right, and bleeding, that's right.
So echoes, covenant. So I think I'll pick haunted.
Okay.
As the echoes of some of the fallen Montungo from Dead Bodyguard's first trip through here latch on to Relene.
Nice.
Oh gosh.
And you can take another one of those embodies, or we can roll for the bleed.
Oh, I don't get to decide on the bleed.
Oh no,
that's way more fun.
Then roll me a d6.
It's a 3.
So your house takes fleeting disadvantage as echoes plague the land. And Olgrid, what do you want for your 2 picks?
I think surging, because I think basically with that force is basically knocking things loose inside this cavern.
Okay. Now, mind you, that harm is not going to be reduced by armor.
Right. You just I just take
Sure,
one
sure.
additional, but it's one harm. So
Yeah,
it's,
that's not bad. So you'll go up to 3 harm levels then.
Yeah.
And what's the other one you want?
I think I want to roll on the on that table.
By all means.
So all right. So this is just 1d6.
Yeah.
All right. That is a 2.
I think that as you're doing this, you'll feel that energy fly out into this area around you. And you will feel it shake. And that energy crackles through these tunnels. We already established that there's some gems down here that channel things. And this thing wakes up. And it is a fungal war walker, a titan that begins to pull itself out from the deepest caverns. You probably just catch a glimpse of it as it is rising up. Maybe it was in the past something else, but the fungus and the mushrooms have completely taken it over. And, one arm punches up through the surface and starts to pull itself out. As you two run and escape from this.
I think we basically both of us get on Wolfback and run out and do that because that's much faster.
Oh, yes, please. I don't even have shoes. Thank you. That's so helpful.
And the two of you will head out into the dusk as this thing is starting to rise up. It's only the sound of it pushing up. It doesn't roar. It doesn't shout. And that's perhaps even more disturbing. My lord, you've returned from your fray, from your excursion. And what kind of servants do you imagine that you have?
Well, I mean, I have my shadow, my faithful shadow that's near me often.
And it when you arrive, it kind of blends in with the shadows of the redoubt, picking up news and rumors, and then it's back whispering in your ear. Something has happened to the south.
What dusk?
A titan has risen.
A titan?
Yes. Yes, the Mandongo have a titan, and it is awoken.
That is something. I wonder if the Order will be choosing to engage it. I should see this thing.
Witnesses said that they saw your friends, Olga and
Friends?
Reline,
Oh.
fleeing from the Titan.
Oh dear. I do like her. She is very talented. Yes. I must go. Tell the house of what you've learned. It may be that there is opportunity for us, especially if the Order throws itself against this thing. In their weakened state, they will not be able to face us.
But then they will not be able to protect us from the beasts down below. Remember these things.
Yes. However, if we can weaken them, we can bring them back to heal. That is what is most needed at the moment. They wouldn't help us regardless.
So we're going to frame a scene up with my lord arriving. But Reline, what is the place of refuge, the tavern or bar or social place that we see you in the city after the two of you have escaped with your lives and you've headed north into the city proper itself, girded the canyon and headed for refuge?
I like the idea of a bar or club, something very high end, probably something Taliesin and the Crystal Crown are well familiar with, somewhere that's expensive enough that it's lasted through most of the turmoil, relatively intact and luxurious.
Tell me a striking feature about this place.
I think the let's go with the bartender has a special sort of qualm skill that they can draw like colored holograms out of the crystals in here, sort of like Green Lantern constructs. They're sort of see-through and outlined, but there's not just like a light show, but sort of an animated almost sort of thing going on most of the time there.
It's supported by the fact that the walls are mosaiced with like the tiniest little bits of crystal that people can't really use. They don't do anything, but you can light them up in different colors, and so you can kind of make like a pinpoint show to complement that. Olgrid, have you ever been here or in any place like this? Are you familiar
Absolutely
with
not.
this? Okay. What there are a lot of people here. They do, give you the side eye about your wolves. But they see
The wolves
Relene.
giving them the side eye too.
Yeah, Relene's presence will probably allow you to bring these beasts in. But what do you think?
I think the light show. She's seen Relene's concerts before, and I think if I remember serves, Relene does a lot of things thematically that's similar to this sort of show, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
Her show is much less visual and sort of holographic than this is. It's a lot more like emotions and maybe some like mental images. But yeah, she does put a lot of effort into crystal lights and pyrotechnics and that sort of thing.
Okay, so I think the number of images I think is off-putting for Olgrid to start with. So like she like flinches away from some stuff, but that's kind of just she gets used to it after a minute or two, and then she goes to get then she just follows Relene as best she can through all of this. To probably, my guess is Relene probably has a private booth. I got to check on something. I'll be back in just a minute.
Okay. So, well, let's take our break here. If Chris is going to step away, let's take 7-8 minutes, and we'll come back. I will pause the recording. Lord Taliesin, through your network of extensive contacts, storytellers, and so on, you've picked up where Relene and Olgrid fled to, and you arrive very high-end establishment, and you head in, and you will see the two of them and two giant wolves over in a private booth over in the corner, and people move away as you come in, Lord Taliesin.
They shouldn't have to feel that way. I mean, it's appropriate, but they shouldn't feel that way. But I will have lit in the courtyard and then sent Strylith to fly above and wait for my call. Find somewhere to settle and wait. And I'll, looking across, I spot them and move through the crowd. As I pass by the bartender, I will and make motion of a like round pointing to the table as I move over.
Bow and goes and prepares.
Relene, Aldred, it is good to see you both.
Ogrid, how do we? What you've got 3 wound levels. What does that look like?
I think the third wound level is actually the one that really starts to, I think, physically manifest.
Where's it? What's it
The
look
previous
like?
ones are, I think, I think you're seeing like she looks like she's taking a beating. You see some cuts and nicks from the debris that was flying around as that Titan burst out of the earth. And so she's got some, you can see like a lot of cuts on like maybe the side of her head, and just basically you can tell like she's kind of taking it easy on one of her shoulders, where it took a solid hit from some chunk of rock or something. And like she's obviously uncomfortable trying to sit down, even though she's noticeably not putting any sort of pressure on that on like her left shoulder at all.
The first 2 wound boxes will clear now that you've had a moment to sit here and rest and drink, but that third one will remain.
I kind of had given Relene my my first attention, and then looked over to Aldred and noticed. So it's my ladies. May I sit?
Please, yes. And Verlene will have like smoothly gotten up to greet you, and she's got a wonderful, pleasant smile that doesn't look like she's sitting with a bleeding old grid.
My dear Aldred, I had received some reports that you were, the 2 of you have stumbled upon something most dangerous. I did not realize you had been injured.
Well, it very nearly stumbled onto both of us. I think that was the problem.
These caverns are shockingly deep.
They are. You know, many years ago, you could go down into those caverns, and they were filled with people working, producing food for the city. But not only that, it was like a wonderland of sight. The lights that these fungi would produce, the smell that would come from them. It was as though all of creation was kept within the caves. And those who worked them, it was as though they had connected with them. They knew when they had reached maturity. They had ancient lineages of these foodstuffs, each with such various and subtle differences of taste. It was as though we here had all of the world's wonders at our disposal before it was taken. I miss it, but I believe we may can find it again. And I would hope that maybe this story is comforting, because if so, I'm healing Ugrid of her arm.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it definitely holds some comfort, like tales of better times, like generally would. So I can.
And you get the kind of impression that all this, yes, love, you're muted, love.
Mental or emotional harm, you can heal with that.
Oh, not fizz. Oh, that's a
No.
shame.
Yeah,
Never mind. It's still a good story.
It is a good story.
And you do get the impression that Taliesin was there, like he saw it himself. Oh, well, that's a shame.
That's
Sorry.
okay. I think Olgrid follows that up with the sentiment that yes, that would have been better than them murdering our peace envoy and raising
You know of his
raising a
secret?
monstrous mushroom titan from beneath the earth.
Yes, that's the report I got, that you were kicking over the anthill, as it were.
Oh, the anthill kicked over us. We attempted to
going
make
to-
peace, and they literally blew up our peace envoy.
I was trying to find some way to connect with them, and I don't think there's much way to connect with their hounds. Can't say for that Titan, but it was monstrous. It was, I don't know how to describe it.
Oh, well, you're right. I suppose I could twist that to tales and legends. I related a story, I suppose, of a marvel. State one fact per roll. I only have one about its arcane, dramatic, romantic, I think. Romantic power.
Okay.
And so I'm going to make that. Oh, I could be nasty and gain a lore, couldn't I?
You could. You've told them
I
something
think
that
instead
is.
I'm going to.
A comforting lie.
I suppose the reason I mentioned this tale is that it was that longevity, that generational aspect of these crops, which perhaps have grown beyond being crops. But somewhere in their memory, they remember us, and they can remember us fondly.
I'm not sure how they would remember us fondly if we ate them.
Well, we were as though gardeners for them, and with fungus. Well, a part is hardly the whole. But this creature, and I suppose the truth I'm trying to put into the tale, or the rumor I'm putting into the tale to give advantage, is there is some like ancestral memory that still remembers kind of the relationship between the city and them.
Okay, give them fleeting advantage. That makes sense.
Okay. Relene, what brought you to such a danger? Aldred, I can imagine, but you?
I had acted hastily and I made a mistake. I didn't want to upset potential relations or connections with this new group, this new life form that I'd never seen before. And so I went to try to find them, to speak to them, to make a connection, to show them the mistakes are made by everyone, but connections can still be formed.
They responded rather unpleasantly.
No. I fear recent events have set them on edge. We didn't run across any of them themselves. We just ran across guard beasts, hounds set to patrol their area and keep outsiders away, which I can understand. I would be afraid too if this was my entree into the surface world.
I would to speak with the Verdant. I believe that they have more knowledge of the... Remind me their name,
Montango.
Montango that they are willing to share at the moment. But I believe that they are indeed in conversation with them.
That's perfect. That's wonderful. They can set up an introduction. They can smooth our way past these unfortunate incidents that we've all had to deal with.
Well, I would have to ask you, Ulgrid, will your people be willing to see peace after the difficulties that have occurred?
I think Olgrid just sits back and sort of bit and says, I think my people will expect vengeance first.
And if you're going into this seeking vengeance, then there will only be war. The verdant will not help if your house is not willing to come seeking peace.
My house sought peace, and the peace negotiation was broken. They did not respect the peace tent. They did not respect the offer. They murdered the crone, who is the speaker for peace. Now only the matron and the maiden speak, and they both speak of war.
Imagine the possibilities of a whole new connection, a whole new society. The blood of one is sad, but think of what it could build. A stumble is not a fall. Do not walk away from all possibility of peace just for one misunderstanding, tragic though it is.
And Olgrid shrugs and says, this is not a decision to make. That's what was called for. The clans are mustering. If peace is to be obtained, then it will have to be, it will have to be something where they believe that they are receiving something in recompense that would compare to the life of the crone. And I'm not one who can put a price to that.
A tide has risen. Would the clans fling themselves against that?
The clans, I'm presuming, would have their ways of, but I am not the entirety of the clan's ancestral wisdom. The rise of the Titan may change the posture of the maiden and the matron especially, but the clans rose. The clans rose in response to the murder of the crone. That will have to be dealt with before they will seek to come to another council table. There is an issue of trust, not only of desire for peace, but also a lack of trust to meet at a peace table, to meet at a peace tent, and to have your envoy murdered. Who would come as the envoy now? Do you trust yourself in the peace tent with these mushroom people, Montango?
I could change the mind of the matron or the maid. Either one if you need.
I think Ulgrid brings up a good point. Would you trust going to this conference, Raleen?
Of course. I would enter free of malice. Would enter free of hostility. How you enter is how you leave.
I must admit your grace is greater perhaps than mine. I understand how the Untamed could be frightened, concerned to meet again when such treachery has befallen them. I think that perhaps knowing more of the foe is important. If, Ulgrin, your people learned that they were unaware of the peace, unaware of what it meant, if we could find a way to understand what it is they want, understand why this happened, would they be opened to such knowledge? Or is war what they must have?
I only know what was spoken in council at the last time I attended, which has been weeks. Both of the two remaining leaders spoke of war. But soon a third leader will be chosen. The maiden and the matron will not reside long without a crone. And once that new leader is chosen, perhaps that will change the current leanings of the council.
Rleen, you would go perhaps to give counsel to the Untamed? Is this you, or is this the tower?
It's of course me. It's only ever me. Is that not enough for you?
Oh, it is more than enough for me.
Then perhaps if we could learn enough to convince dear Olgrid to speak on our behalf, bring weight to what arguments we might bring to the Untamed.
Knowledge is perhaps the greatest of all things to seek, and I admit there is a little bit of envy that you saw this thing that I have not. And of course, a Titan at our door is a danger, especially considered the debased nature of the Order these days.
And I think Olgrid will say, I think the council would lean more towards an overture of peace if they believe the tables were balanced again.
Have you a Titan amongst the Untamed?
If we had one, I'm not sure I would be the one they would tell of it.
Perhaps that would be wise.
But
it sort of feels to me, I'm going to put like pause here. It almost feels to me like we need to cut to like the clan meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Does that seem fair?
I think so. And the question would come up: Do we want to have the clan meeting like after there's been a new crone appointed, and kind of have like the full council?
Well, where now, Patrick, you were going to say something before I do something.
Yeah, before we end this scene totally, I just want a little side thing of at some point when Olgrid. Oh no, wait, he's frozen. I'm not frozen. He's still waiting when I freeze. Sorry. When Olgrid's not paying attention or like gone off to the bathroom or something, really will move a little like conspiratorially closer to Talise and she'll pull out from somewhere. She doesn't have anywhere to pull it out from, but there it is. A pink, like bright, vibrant pink shard. As she'll lean and say, you know, I can show you what it looked like, what it was like to be near it, to feel its voice shaking through the ground. She holds up a bit of mirage. And, you know, meta speaking, I don't have like a surplus or anything. This isn't anything binding, but just like a bit of a hook into Taliesin.
I would see this thing despite my reservations for your wares. Show me.
Given that my wares are me and my own voice, I might be tempted to be upset with that. But we're dear friends, and I know you don't. Here you go.
And I suppose it lets me see what y'all encountered?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She'll put like a little memory of that moment. There's I think maybe some flashes of like being surrounded by the aphids and fighting against them, and then there's just this big like clear focused in chunk that's that thing rising up out of the crevasse.
Oh,
Tyler, would you like to use this as a chance to unearth?
I would.
Ooh.
All right.
They didn't have a chance to study it as they ran, but you now have the luxury of drinking in this mirage. So vivid.
Yeah, that won't
Sparkling.
be bad. All right, I'm
Feel the
+1
thrilling
here.
rush of fear going through you. It's all very sensationalist.
Roll with wisdom.
I get an 8.
Okay. You get to declare 2 facts about this.
And you'll pick one fact to be misleading, biased, or incomplete. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Ah. Okay. I'm going with, and this is of the Titan. Lowell, can you just for a moment remind me kind of what it looked like?
It was 50 feet tall, and it might have been something else in the past, but it was completely infested fungally. I like the idea, like the image there, where it almost looks like a little bit like Cloverfield, where it's got the long walking arms and back legs and the big body.
Ah, excellent. All right. I'm going with the original source of its importance or influence. And I think, Relene, you'll kind of hear me. Oh my. They managed to touch the delver below. The one who carved out the chasm. It once was. It dug through the land. Behind it, it would leave fertile ground, but ahead of it, it would destroy. We of the Primarchy had to deal with it. This is how it interacted with my house, is the second part of my thing I'm putting in. We were able to trap it. Below, we bound it in crystal chains. They were meant to be unbreakable, so that it might produce fertility to our city.
Absolutely.
That makes sense. It leaked harmful ambience into the land around it as it rose, she says, twisting the truth wildly. Maybe it's had some effect on the Montago themselves.
Perhaps, or perhaps they have had an influence on it.
Really, the eternal optimist does not acknowledge that.
We cut to the camp of the Untamed. There's clearly peoples and factions there. They're representatives from the iconoclasts who are present, just because this is an important thing. Chris, do you think this is before the new crone is chosen or after the new crone is chosen?
I think it's more interesting if we have a new crone chosen,
Okay.
because that means that means you can't have a split vote.
Okay.
They'll have to make a decision.
Then I think the question is do you want to put this proposal forward? Or do you want to speak to allow Relene or Milord to listen to go and speak? Compromise is cunning.
Yeah, I think what I think that I think Olgerd is willing to is willing to present this this possibility. The idea that perhaps a new negotiation could be begun through other intermediaries. And then if Relene or Taliesin wish to speak, that will be up to the council to hear them. But Olgerd would put forth the idea that it certainly couldn't harm any to create. It certainly couldn't hurt anything to pursue talks through other intermediaries, but that shouldn't hamper us preparing for a conflict, because we have sought peace before and it did not work out.
So you will go forward. The new crone is there. She's drunk the black blood. She's aged 10 years in taking on that mantle, and gained some of the wisdom. Let's have you roll cunning. And hold on, you actually get fleeting advantage on this because of what Tyler gave you.
I said that will be helpful because my cunning is 0, so every little advantage helps.
Absolutely.
Hold on, the website jammed up on me here.
Oh no.
Okay. A 6 and a 4, so that would be a 10.
That would be a 10. So I think that you will enlist, like, we're going to look at this. You're going to get 2 objectives and 1 reaction. I think one of the objectives needs to be enlist their support for a specific action. Like, they'll be willing to let others go and negotiate while they hold back. What do you want for the other objective there? Seems like the last 2 are the others that are the ones that are on the table, really.
Yeah, I think I think we'll learn something from our allies. I think I'll take that +1 lore.
I think they will speak of what they have learned from observing, from trailing, from watching this, and information that they got from the Order of the Monster Hunters when they went and spoke with them. So yeah, you can take +1 lore. What reaction do you want?
Let's see.
The first one would indicate that like they would want reparations. That would be what the first one would kind of breed as.
Since we're trusting other people to negotiate, might it be interesting to test our covenant?
Sure.
With a friend who must seal the deal?
So is that Taliesin or Relaine?
It seemed like Relaine was leaning towards being the intervener in this. Am I reading that intention correctly, Patrick?
To some degree, I also don't have a covenant with you.
Yeah. So I'd have to lean on
Taliesin.
Yeah.
But if you want to bring Taliesin in for the personal, I have an idea for like addressing the council and the clan as a whole.
Well, this is about him. Like at this point, he's already made and done the deal. So there's a question of how much he's had to draw in from one of you two.
So let's see. Taliesin, would you be willing to test our covenant?
Yes.
Okay. And I would roll with the covenant I have with Taliesin, correct?
That would be what you would do.
Okay. And I think I have 2 with Taliesin, but let me
Yeah,
double
yours
check.
is quite strong.
Oh wait, 1 with Taliesin and 2 with Lothliana. So that's still not bad. That's +1. So okay. And this one is just a normal roll, right? No advantage on this one.
That is correct.
Okay. Okay, add 1 to that. Ooh, gosh, that's terrible. So that is a total of 6.
So you will lose your bond with Taliesin. You will rank it down by 1. Who has changed? Who has gotten colder? Is it you or them that has changed?
I think maybe, and Tyler, you tell me if this sounds reasonable. I think that Olgrid is feeling that basically this push for peace from the Verdants sounds disingenuous, and I think she's losing trust in Taliesin because she thinks Taliesin is pushing the Verdant's end of things more than Olgrid thinks should be done.
Do you think I've been fooled by them, or do you think I'm calculating?
I think she believes you've been you're calculating. She doesn't. I don't think Olgrid doesn't see you as someone who would be fooled, which may be incorrect. They may have duped you, but like that's not her view of you. She thinks if something is going on with the Verdants and you're involved in it, she's pretty sure that you would be the one doing the duping and not the Verdant priesthood.
Gotcha.
So I think her trust level with you, I think, has dropped.
Makes sense.
And so I think the crone grumbles, but the other 2 will say, we will continue to prepare and gird for war. And when this all goes terribly wrong, we will be ready. But you may go, and we'll be willing to come to the table if negotiations are made. But if our people are killed again, and so does it feel like we need to shift to a house level, or we should continue at the like maybe a decree at that level?
It sounds like this becomes a house move unless y'all have something.
I was going to say, can I do something to finish up that whole council thing?
Sure.
I would like to present a new song to the gathered Untamed in the council.
Okay.
And I think it's it's the rescue of the Montongo. And it starts out talking about the strength and the pride of the Untamed Clans, and how they have always stood against any opposition, any challenge, and how they can overcome anything. And then the second half of it shifts to like musings about the pride and the glory of reaching down into the depths of the earth and saving an entire new peoples and bringing them to present to the rest of the world. And I want to give this song the core of pride, which will hit both Olgrid and Taliesin as a good side effect, but will also hit anyone else in the crowd that has a Covenant core related around pride, which, since it's one of Chris's core ones, I figured that'd be a lot.
Probably so. Yeah, definitely.
I have I don't have other voices with me, but I do. We've had time that I brought some of the caravan to have other instruments with me.
Okay.
And I think the song's core theme is relevant to the situation.
I think that's fair. Absolutely.
So everybody, both of y'all and the various Untamed can make a covenant with the song "The Rescue of Montongo."
What? The Rescue of Montongo. That is the name of the song?
And it's at strength 2. And just performing the song is enough for other people to call on aid with it.
Interesting.
There's a note there I want to make at the very end about an implication from that particular move mechanically. That see if we can remember it when we get to the finish.
Okay.
Because it's a little unusual for me for PBTA. Well, I'll say it here. Let me say. I'll stop and say it's an unusual move in that one of the things it does is it assumes that the GM has tracked what the cores are for NPCs. That's interesting because either you've done it or you're making it up, just making it up on the fly, in which case it's sort of weird how it's phrased. You see what I mean?
Yeah, oh, definitely. I was certainly leaning towards assuming you were going to make it up on the fly.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I tried. Like, I searched to try and find something that would really fit the crowd.
Yeah, and I think that's the way it should work, but I think it needs to be phrased that way rather than the GM should check their records and see which people have cores related to this. Anyway, so yeah, they will listen to the song. You will perform it. They will feel that bond. Taliesin, you will feel, even though you kind of maybe had some break, certainly Olgrid is treating you a little bit differently, but then this song comes in to kind of fill that gap in your soul a little bit.
Beautiful.
I did a song.
I think I do need to move to the house level to give everybody a decree. And we'll start with Raleen and Taliesin, and then come to you, Olgrid, your family, because what happens with their things may give you an idea about something you want to do with your decree. Does that sound fair?
So you gave a degree?
Everybody can take a decree. We're now going to go into, we're going to rise up to that house phase. So my guess for the tower and for you, Raleen, is that the house move we're going to is negotiate.
To try and go back in with, find someone to meet with in the Montago?
Yeah, well, no, look at the number 4 one.
Oh.
You can just cease a conflict if you do this successfully. What is your family's reach?
Way up here. Nope, that's character. Way up here? 0.
Now, do you want to ask for support?
Yes. There it is, support.
Yes.
So there, that's,
looks like anybody can offer support, even if they don't have influence.
nice.
I will support this.
Yeah, it's weird, very complicated negotiations. I would appreciate Talisa's help.
Yes.
So let's have you roll 2 dice, and Tyler, you roll 1.
I got a 3.
I'm sorry, Patrick. Could I have you roll 3 dice and take the 2 lowest? My haunted family friend.
Boo. Well, would that even out with the advantage? Just have a regular roll.
Here's the thing: is that actually their support is alongside advantage.
Oh my god.
So what we're going to do is you're going to roll 4 dice, and you're going to take, let's see, why don't you take I don't know, the highest die. So disadvantage means that you have to take the 2 lowest. So let's have you roll 4 dice or 3 dice. And Tyler, what is your die that you rolled?
My die was a 3.
3.
So I got 2 5s and a 1.
2 5s and a 1.
So would I take like the 5 and the 1, and could I choose to switch the 1 out for the 3 then, or
yeah, let's do it. Let's do it that way. Like I think that's a weird situation. So I feel like you can look. You have to take the 5 and the 1, and then I think you can sub in their support die.
Okay.
So that feels right to me doing it that way.
That feels right to me.
It means
an intersection between those two.
Yeah. It does mean that the acting player says how you jeopardize the effort. And Taliesin, do you have influence over their family?
Was my die the lowest, or was his 1 the lowest?
Well, now it's a 5 and a 3, so your die is the lowest.
Like the lowest taken.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the lowest taken rather than. Oh, okay. So be me as the acting player. Okay.
So Taliesin, does your family have influence over the tower?
I don't think so. Let me look. I do not.
Okay.
Oh, I do. Yes, I do.
So that's good, because otherwise
it.
there's a problem if you didn't have influence and lost influence.
So I lose influence.
Okay.
And I say how I jeopardize it.
Like, what is it you do that creates some strain there?
Ooh, so much going on. Where are we having this discussion? Is this
So I
Patrick-
imagine that what has happened is somehow through various contacts, Raleen has been able to gain an audience, gain a negotiation with the Montongo. And, comes out there full and forthright, knowing that this exact same situation happened and they murdered the ambassador. But Raleen walks out and is willing to negotiate. So I imagine we're actually down there. I imagine you're in the shadow of the Titan.
Okay. I think I jeopardized it, or not me. I am not me.
You're perfect.
The Primarchy jeopardizes it because we've leaked the knowledge of this Titan that's risen to the Order.
Fair enough.
Oh.
So
like some Montongo diplomat hits me with that in the middle of the negotiations.
Are they're being, they're rallying on the edge, or they've done something nasty here in the past? I don't know. Lowell, what have they done?
I think that they are just like, they catalog everything. And I think that in the time since they found out this thing was going to be out there, their agents have been infiltrating and have been, have created potential disruptions in the process. So you can cease this conflict if you wish, Relaine. Is that what
That's
you wish?
between me and the Montongo?
That you can cease this conflict. You don't have a conflict with them.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, but
Still
you can.
confused from that confusion last time.
Yeah, you can cease their conflict.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, but on a 7 to 9, you either lose influence over them, which I don't think you have, or you give influence to another faction who intervened and helped you seal the deal. Ironically, the very influence that was just lost. Or you can give it to Chris's faction.
Just for completeness, I'm going to look at what Mark of Disgrace. Oh no, that looks really bad.
Yeah,
that would just start a conflict with me, basically.
Let's you and us fight.
You're right. We shouldn't be fighting them. We should be fighting you. Well, Tyler, you lost your influence, even though you were not entirely true to the spirit of negotiations. We've nevertheless arrived at a peaceful outcome, and so I think you should get influence back.
Thank you.
I will tell you something that you will realize too, when you are close to this Titan. It is not quite what Tyler thought it was. It is like that, an old buried thing risen up, but in fact, it is essentially a massive wooden Titan, like those created by the Verdant in the old hours, in the old days, that has become infested with this mushroom. But you're looking at it, Tyler, and you're like, yep, you could still bind it with those chains. We know how to take care of this thing if it gets out of hand.
That's cool, though.
So yes, that is cool, Kitty.
She agrees.
So you can go back to your people and give them the news that there will be, there will be peace. Did you feel good about that, Olgrid?
I think she's still a little suspicious of this whole process. Like
Especially
that all
since
just
you're not gonna get
sort of,
that surplus coin.
Yeah,
Not
that's
gonna get that unless you sneak in there. and
why
murder
why
him.
would I not get that? I haven't agreed to not do that. I haven't agreed
yeah.
to not do that.
Fair enough. Yeah, if you go in and do that, that's still on the table. Okay, I just want to make sure on that.
She hasn't fully made a decision. She's still a little suspicious of this entire process. Like, just because they've agreed to stop open hostilities doesn't necessarily mean that they're friendly.
The Primarchy, you have a decree. What would you like to do with that decree?
I'm trying to find how you gain influence on someone as an active thing.
As an active thing.
Do we have one of those?
There's give influence. There's conspire.
I don't see one.
Supporting them. If your die is the highest, say how you make the difference and gain influence.
That's the only way we
But
can
you can't.
see.
Can you do that with NPC factions?
You can't do that with NPCs.
Yeah.
I mean, Tyler, your alliance move is a bit more in your hands than other people's.
Yeah. What is your
That's
alliance
true.
move?
Let's look
It's,
at that.
when another faction realizes the key role your current hero played in their history, you gain influence on them.
Oh.
You do like telling a story.
I don't know. This has to do then with a lot of you, Lowell, giving me some leeway here. But I'm down here in this negotiation.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to propose that as this negotiation is happening, they're called the
Matango.
Matango. The Matango realize that I was the one who came and told the story that wrapped up that original Titan that produced the verdant, wrong word, the fertility that led to the fungal caves in the beginning, where I said that that when the Delver beneath is what made this fertility that bloomed up. That way back, I was the one that produced that binding.
And when you say I, you mean we, right? You're speaking for your house.
No, I mean Taliesin. I'm old enough to have been there.
I see. Current hero played in their history. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's a fair piece of fact, since you established and you did the tails thing before. I think it's reasonable to do that. So I think, yes, you can take influence over them.
Thank you.
And do you have an endeavor you want to do? Spend a decree on?
Yes. Yeah, let me do that. I'll put that influence in a moment. I would like to scoot it over. Sorry. I want to. Good gracious. Golly bomb. I suppose I'm wanting to set myself up for a conquer. But is there a setup for a conquer, or do I just look for something and try to go conquer it?
Well, it's the thing is, we can look on the map. I mean, what is it you want? Conquer is for is there a strategic point you want? I don't know if you have any identified surpluses yet, but certainly there are
Yeah,
some
we got to wait
strategic.
for those
Yeah.
opportunities, don't we?
Yeah. Did you get any lore? Because you can.
I did.
Then that's what you should first do is spend lore.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. So I could just spin that straight out, right?
Yeah.
And I don't see where that is
Research.
on.
It's under reactions.
Oh, excellent. There we go.
You get to answer it or say, Lowell, tell me.
Oh, okay. How do I get surplus? Sorry, looking. How do I get surplus luxury?
Surplus luxury. I think that
Drop a lore.
that right now the House of Coin, that cabal, is desperately trying to hold on to what they had. Remember, they gained their power and influence not under this administration, but under the previous overseers. And they've kind of tried to hold on. So I think that you could seize one of their vaults and the goods and relics and treasures that they have squirreled away, holding for their security, against a rainy day. They wouldn't expect it, wouldn't see it coming because they've been trying to hide it from the soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
So would you like to do that?
Yes, I would.
All right. Then tell me, what does it look like when you go to conquer, when your people go to attack?
So I'll spend a decree, and what it looks like. Yeah, I think I have an idea. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Something that has not happened possibly in centuries. I mean, I think the Empire was here for quite a long time. We see the gates of the redoubt open, the portcullis rise, and the mists that surround the tower part as the thrumph, thrumph, thrumph of heavily armored figures come out. Only 4, just 4. Each of them on a different sort of mount, but each mount terrifying. They ride to where this vault is. And the leader, yes?
Let's have you roll grasp before you go much further.
Yeah, let's go much further. All right, so grasp for me.
Now,
yes.
Before you do that, do you want help?
I would like help. I would normally be asking my allies, but they're not here. But would someone like to help?
Well, there's only Raleen at this moment.
Oops.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, there's Chris.
Yeah.
Would anybody like to help their friendly neighborhood Primarchs? I don't hear a cascade of yeses.
So I think you are on your own.
I'm sorry, I was waiting to see if Chris
okay.
won, but yeah. I'll help. What is it that you're working on?
I am attempting to raid the vaults of the House of Coin.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I mean, concerts are cheap.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Then I'm going to roll.
You roll 2 dice. Patrick rolls a die.
I'm rolling my 2. I got a 4 and a 2, and you got a 6.
I did.
So that will be a 10. And Patrick, you will gain influence over the tower. Over the Primarchy.
Which I think I already have.
You do?
I do.
And I don't think that does anything.
It
When you
does.
yes, when you gain influence over a faction you already have influence on,
Yep.
you can remove their influence over you. You can gain a decree, or you can immediately negotiate without a decree cost.
I would like to try negotiating for an alliance if you're interested in that.
Let's put a pin in that. Resolve this battle, like what the move does, and then we'll come back to that. So this is a smashing victory, but
Yeah.
what is the thing you pick there?
Smashing victory, but God, they're terrible. Hey, jeez. I think it's going to spark a conflict with the faction of the GM's choice.
Let me chew on that.
Okay.
Okay. And I we'll figure that out.
And I'm going to real quick describe what it is, how it looks as we come there.
Sure.
The 4 that arrive, I think that silent dragon figure is at the head. With him is our lion, and I think also our raven, as well as Taliesin.
That makes sense.
As we step forward, just the 4 of us on our mounts, the raven lifts his head. You have too long neglected your taxes to your rightful lord. We come to collect. And as he lifts his hand and motions, this swarm of transparent figures just sweep from the redoubt and encompass where the vault is. And then moments later,
and you will absolutely do that. And within a few days, the Soldiers Guild is up and pissed. And you will spark a conflict with the Soldiers Guild. While you're at conflict with them, you are at disadvantage to conquer.
Eek. And as the reaction to the conflict occurring, I think the redoubt's towers and walls grow higher and thicker, because that's one of my moves with the redoubt whenever we enter conflict.
So there's the boy, this nasty open war there.
Eek.
Raleen, you wish to negotiate to become an ally to this pariah group?
It's a difficult position now, isn't it? Yeah.
Roll with reach.
I got a 7.
You got a 7. So let's see how that works. So
Use influence or give influence.
So form an alliance if the influence. So I think you can form the alliance. Because I don't think the 7 and 9 results there make much sense in the course of this for the moment. Do you?
I mean, I wouldn't mind giving influence to the Untamed.
That makes sense.
It helps like smooth over. I mean, this has been a rocky set of negotiations all over the place.
Are you okay with that, Chris?
Sure.
Okay. Chris, do you have an idea of what you would like to have your house do?
Well, I think I was thinking about doing like a celebration move to sort of celebrate this piece coming up.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
And I think the crone is sort of pushing for that, because I think the crone was the one that was voting for peace, because the maiden and the matron were both basically, beating some war drums. And I think the new crone is sort of rubbing it in their faces that that things turned out the way she said they would. So
so you will roll with reach. Patrick, Tyler, do either of you have another decree laying around?
I think Tyler does, because he
Um,
had an extra from last session.
That's right.
and technically I'm not allies with either of them, so I don't know if they can become involved in it.
Oh, that's right.
It
You're
sounded
right,
like
because
it.
allies actually have a formal meaning. Yeah.
Jane turn.
Yeah.
And
It's an
I think
RPG, and
the
they're
only
supposed to
person
capitalize that if it's a special term.
or at least italicize something.
Yeah.
But the only allowance I have is with the NPC group, the Crystal Iconoclasts, which are basically just the religious fundamentalists of the Untamed Clans.
Let's have you roll with reach, because you might be able to essentially put this Titan to rest, because right now that's a form of ambience, unless there's something else on the map that you think you can put to rest.
I don't think so.
Let's have you roll
Okay.
reach.
Let's see how this goes. That is a 10.
That is a 10. So I think that as a result of the celebration of the confirmation of the peace, the Montongo will, as a gesture, put the Titan back to rest and rechain it in the depths. And do that formally with you present to demonstrate that they have put this away. They've put away the great weapon, left themselves vulnerable, and they agree to the peace that is to come. Does that seem fair?
I think so. And that may sort of put the kibosh on Olgrid's lingering desire to take out that other mushroom person.
Coin.
It's surplus coin, but
Oh,
you
may have to change your role then.
What was amazing to Olgrid, I think that being done probably pushed her back towards the, all right, I'm just going to let this lie. I'm not gonna kick this hornet's nest again.
Yeah. So you should take a look and see what role you want to switch to, because that was essentially your role. Hope you're going to keep freezing. Okay.
I couldn't quite hear you there.
Oh, yeah. So you should take a look at the roles, because you're kind of giving up on the agent role. So you may want to choose another role that you move to then.
Okay, let me let's see there.
And we can check in on that next time.
Okay.
Let's stop here, since we're kind of at a break point. We'll start next time with another kind of zoom in, and I'm going to.
And I just wanted to point out quickly, Lowell, from fallout of stuff, since I went into that alliance with the Primarchy, and I'd like to keep it. That puts me in conflict with the soldiers as well.
That it does. So you are now at disadvantage when you go to conquer.
And an alliance is automatically reciprocal, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they have an unshakable need mirage.
Ha 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 ha.
All right. Well, let's stop there. I'm going to stop the recording.